みんな、こんにちは。元気ですか？私は Felix Guardian です。So I have wanted to do a video like this for quite a while, just sit and talk, because I've been doing this a lot to myself, like having imaginary conversations with myself, trying to figure out what exactly I'm gonna say. But yeah, there's a there's a lot that I want to say, but like at the same time, it's not really that important. Um, ouch. I think I just cracked my shoulder there a bit. Um, so I was thinking to myself, I could try to release a video every month or so. I could try. But there is a specific period in each month where I would not be able to do so. Um, I'm pretty sure some of you can guess why. And all I'm going to say is that there is a certain um, organ, something that has to do with being born female. And it usually lasts about 5 days. In my case, it's about five. And for the first 3 days, I do not leave the bed for anything other than to use the toilet. And during that time, I'm in pain. And when I'm in pain, I don't find enjoyment in doing very many things, like playing games. There's no heart to it. I just lose interest in a lot of things very quickly when I'm in pain. So there's at least going to be that 3, 4, maybe 5 days where nothing is going to show up. And well, I fiddled around with my microphone a little bit before this because I realized that it was kind of loud. Um, I don't really consider myself much of a loud person, but I'll try to tone it down for this video, okay? Because we're talking. I didn't want to do this over like playing a game because I would have to stop what I'm doing and actually think about what I need to say. Because for those of you who don't make content, when you hit the record button, um, your brain kind of tends to focus more on what you need to say rather than what you're doing. So sometimes you need to stop what you're doing in all aspects and focus on what you're actually supposed to be doing within the game. For those people who have been doing it for a long time, kudos to those who can talk and actually get things done within the game. That's not that's not what I really wanted to talk about today. Um, most mostly I wanted to talk about the things that I want to get done in life. So I could just leave it here as a kind of a legacy thing. So, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be overlaying this with something so that you guys have at least something to watch um while this is going on, but try to pay attention anyway. So the first thing is that I wanted to talk a little bit about my story. I have so many plans for this story, and I really haven't talked very much about it on my channel, if even at all, up until this point. This video, not video, what am I talking about? This story of mine has been in development since probably before I got into high school. Um, so it was originally called The Life of Jessica, and then a couple months after I made that name, I started a Pokemon fanfiction, and I wanted to call it The Life of Jessica. So I shifted over the name, and I started calling my main story The Life of a Fairy. But then after I realized that that was very generic, And after a little bit, I wrote down some ideas, and I came up with Kingdom of the Rainbow Portal. And that's the name of the overarching, basically it's targeting the planet where all of the stories are taking place, but it's not really supposed to be centered on just one person on that planet eventually. Right now, it is actually centered on one person on that planet, and she's a fairy princess. But, yeah, like I said, this story is, I have 40 plus original hand drawn, original characters for this story. And those are just the humanoid characters. There are a few that actually can't be expressed in physical drawings, so I'll be leaving those out. But over the years, I've put all of the concept art into one book, and as I look through them as the years go by, I realize that I actually need to redo a whole lot of them. And of course, I have quite a bit. And there are various forms for at least 7 of my characters. Various forms. And I take a look at them and I'm like, oh no, this needs to be changed. Now, I am not, even though I am an artist, I don't have much of an eye for colors and how they fit together. I also don't have much of a fashion sense. I basically put on what feels comfortable to me. And that translates pretty much into what I do with my characters. Um, like I said, not only am I an artist, I'm also a writer. I have currently one story of mine that is complete and it's available to read. Although it's in a kind of a different format than a fanfiction. It's actually pages in a picture. So you actually have to download the pictures and then open them up in MS Paint because that's where I made them, and zoom in to actually be able to read them because right now they're on DeviantArt and you can't zoom in that much to see the picture, the words. Now, why I did it like that? It's because I have a special way of allowing people to know who is talking based on the color of their words. And you can't really do that with very many fanfiction sites. So I figured I would just do it in Microsoft Word, take screenshots, edit it down, and put the pictures up online, and that's what I did. It's kind of scattered, I guess. I'm not really sure how many people have actually read through the entire thing, and honestly, the story is a bit interesting. It's not very realistic, even though I try to make it. It's not very realistic. It's called Otaku Seed, and I actually have. I need to stop cracking my fingers. Um, I'm working on a sequel, but then again, I'm working on a lot of other stories as well. So, question mark? Um, so yeah, like I said, my main story is just kind of there. And because a lot of it is in my head, things tend to get changed around a lot. But at least I know what I want to have happen. I just can't get to that point because the characters keep doing their own things. For those of you who are not writers, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But for those of you who are, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes your characters, when they get a personality of their own, they actually kind of do their own thing, and you as a writer are writing what they're saying, and yet you're like, what are you doing? Stop it. I did not want you to do that. It's kind of a weird, incredibly out of body experience. Where am I going with this? um, right. So, uh, this story of mine is not really all that important as it is next to Otaku Seed. Otaku Seed is um a lot more how should I put it? I have more plans for Otaku Seed than for Kingdom of the Rainbow Portal, which is kind of strange, but at the same time it's not because Otaku Seed is mostly set in a school in a forest setting, so there's really not that much going on. I wanted to make a an animation of this. And I had started things like making sprites. I had a map of the main character's house. Um, and I wanted to find people to voice act in certain areas. Of course, the main character is me, so of course I'll be doing her voice. But the main male protagonist named Tsubasa, I wanted to try and find somebody who was Japanese, but that has not been very successful. And honestly, with the current rate of what I'm doing and how I'm getting it done, which is nothing is happening, by the way. I don't really want to try and employ anyone because I can't pay anyone to do anything. So it's just basically if I could make some friends and ask them, they'll say yes because they like me enough to just do it out of the kindness of their hearts. I realize that's kind of a selfish way to go about it, but hey, I ain't got no money. What else do you expect me to do? I was thinking about voicing him myself, but at the same time, how? I can do a Japanese accent, I think, but I don't really know if I can pull it off, even with like filters and stuff like that. I've never actually tried doing it. So, um, yeah, the animation that I was talking about was going to be like an episode based. Some It was supposed to look like somebody playing an emulator game in a VBA emulator for GBA ROMs. For those of you who don't know what an emulator is or what a GBA ROM is, it's basically um, a program that allows you to play handheld games on your computer. And that applies to any sort of handheld or console. You have like the Game Boy Color, you have the Game Boy Advance, you even have the Switch, you have the 3DS. There are emulators for all of these, although the newer the console is the more time that it would take to develop an emulator for that console. So, in the case of the Game Boy Advance ROMs, that is the culmination of the game that's packaged into a file so that you can use it on your computer. They're usually made up of pixels. There are very few GBA games that have used 3D models. Um, and even then, they're all really pixely because the screen was really small back then. Um, so yeah, all of the sprites and everything that I would have needed would be pixels. I do have a friend at the moment who does pixel art, and he doesn't really um, expect me to pay him for asking him to see if he can fix up some of my pixel art. or the sprites in that sense. Um, so there's that, I guess. Um, right, about the animation. It's like I said, it's supposed to look like somebody is playing it and they're recording it for YouTube, but it's actually an animation. So it's gonna be kind of so-so. Also, I also wanted to make cutscenes where, of course, the characters are talking. I wanted it to be a lot like uh, Kingdom Hearts, in where you can play around and do stuff, and then you have full-on animated cutscenes where the characters talk, and you can see them interact and stuff like that. You know, um, so that's what I wanted to do. As far as I know, I've been trying to only get the scenes where the main character and the main male protagonist are talking to each other, so I don't have to try and ask anybody else to do voices for me. So moving away from Otaku Seed, there are several of the stories that I have. One of them is a rehashed fan fiction of Lunatics Unleashed. I came across it a couple of years ago and I was looking through it and I was like, you know, I don't want this character to go to waste. In my fan fiction, I wrote that I was a female coyote and I had powers to make plants grow faster. And my love interest was Tech E, the coyote. For those of you who don't know what Lunatics Unleashed is, it is um a rehash of Looney Tunes, I guess. I'm not really sure what you could call it. It's not like an anime. Um, anyway, I decided that um, I did not want this character to go to waste, like I just said. So I made more characters that are based around the other characters of the Lunatics Unleashed uh, superhero type uh, genre. So I realized that because she was a humanoid coyote, it would not fit well in the world of Kingdom of the Rainbow Portal. So what I did was I took one of the planets from that story and I decided to populate it with quote unquote furries, which is basically what the story, the world of Lunatics Unleashed was about, even though there were in fact humans in that planet. So, in one sense, the story of the furries and the story of the fairies are taking place in the same universe, but they're completely separate because they're on different planets. The people on Ferrix, who are, which is the name of the planet in the main planet in Kingdom of the Rainbow Portal, uh, they believe that the other four planets of their solar systems. What am I saying? There are four planets in the solar system, not including the sun. Okay? There are four planets, and only one is inhabited, and the other three cannot be inhabited because of the constant temperature. That is what the people on Ferrix believe. However, when I when I uh, when I drew these planets, I drew one of them with an unusual setup. What I did was I sectioned it off into four, having huge rings, not like rings around the planet, but rings on the planet itself, and each ring held a season. So at the top of the planet, there was spring, and then summer, and then in the middle, there was autumn or fall, and at the bottom, there was winter. And I realized that, wait, if this planet is actually able to sustain a temperature that is good enough to hold plant life and water, then why not put the people who are furries over there and have them have no contact with quote unquote humans? Because there are a few humans on the planet of Ferrix, but it's mostly inhabited by fantasy creatures. So in order to have them have a civilization that is similar to humans, I sprinkled in a couple of humans here and there, and they taught the fantasy creatures how to speak English and how to make electricity. Of course, there is still a sort of magical system where technology and magic can exist, but except that there's not really that much magic as there is a specific type of energy that I call Manea. But more about that later. So yes, this other planet called Genesis, I decided to name that story, which takes place in the same universe as the other one, Planet of a Constant Sun. Now you might be wondering, does the sun blink out of existence every now and then? But no, that's not what I mean by constant sun. One side of the planet is constantly facing the sun. This is called being tidally locked. Basically, as the planet turns around the sun, one side of the planet is in eternal light, and the other side of the planet is in eternal darkness. It's like the moon. You know how people call the dark side of the moon, but it's actually just the part of the moon that you can't see because one side of the moon is facing the earth forever. Basically, it's like that. All the other three planets all are tidally locked to the sun. Ferrix is the only planet that spins and gives it's like Earth basically, but with rings. And I made Ferrix slightly bigger, and I moved the moon closer to the planet. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to affect the oceans on Ferrix, but I'm just going to chalk it up to Manea allowing everything to be um, sane on the surface of Ferrix. So, in my Planet of a Constant Sun story, we have humanoid or anthro uh, animals who are in a kind of a power struggle because some of them are born with maniacal abilities, which is basically magic. I don't want to really call it that because magic by itself is kind of a. It could be interpreted in several different ways, while I made my own system in which only certain amount of rules can take place. So the magic is Manea from now on, okay? I don't have to call it magic anymore. You know what I'm talking about. Some of them are born with maniacal abilities, and of course, because the animals are not that well engrossed in like human activities, they tend to let their power get to their head and terrorize the other animals who don't have powers. So I decided to make a bunch of them who have kinder hearts and that were born or given maniacal abilities and have them be a superhero team. And I call them the Imperials. And because of the planet and how it is separated into seasons, I decided that we should have a, I don't want to call it a hierarchy, but more like the team has split up to take care of one half of the planet each. So the upper Imperials have uh, charge over spring and summer, and the lower Imperials have charge of autumn and winter. That doesn't mean that either team is stronger than the other. It's just that they have control over different parts of the planet. And our main protagonist, the female coyote, wasn't born with Manea, but she was given Manea from a meteorite that came from Ferrix, because a lot of people on Ferrix were actually born with Manea. It's a kind of a vice versa a situation going on with Ferrix and Genesis. Genesis, you don't really see Manea all that much, and on Ferrix, the Manea is literally all over the place. I mean, the planet itself has rainbow rings for Pete's sake. So, um, yes, there are humans that exist on Genesis. However, they are not allowed to stay on the planet longer than they are required. When that story comes out, you'll find out how on earth they got there. But, let's see. There are a couple of fan fictions that I have going on. The main one that comes to mind right now is Minecraft, and I called it My Pink and Black Glitch. It's about a girl who angers an entity in Minecraft's code by accident because she keeps deleting worlds very quickly after she decides to get bored of them, which is basically me. And the hostile mobs in those deleted worlds come back basically to haunt her, but as how do I actually put it? As glitched um pieces of code that stole things from her computer to appear to her. For instance, this girl is a 3D modeler, and she models a lot of, I don't know how to say the word. Is it Yinga or is it Jinga? Basically, it's when you take something that's not human and you make it to look human while still retaining the features of whatever it is. The most famous ones, I guess you could put it, are Pokemon Jingas, where they take the Pokemon and draw them to be human. Basically, yeah, she does 3D modeling of some of the hostile mobs in Minecraft, and the code steals these Jingas from her computer and appears to her in her Minecraft world as the 3D models. So basically, we have a Minecraft world with round models in them. It's kind of fun. Also, it's a VR experience. So yeah, there's that. As of currently, I'm not entirely sure what she should be collecting them for. I was thinking that maybe she could end up like throwing them into the void at the end of the story, But that sounds kinda harsh, considering what's going to happen to them during the course of this. Um, so yeah, I do have some concept art. I don't think I'm gonna be changing any of the designs because I really like them the way that they are. I try to give them like um I don't know. Let's just leave it at that. This is getting kind of long, isn't it? Like I said, I did just want to just sit down and talk. Um, so yeah, a video every month I could try. Um, it's not going to be any specific sort of theme. It's probably just going to be episodes of casual gaming because I've been doing things in Minecraft that I usually don't do. I usually make a world and delete it like about a couple days afterward, maybe even the same day, because I get bored. This is why I take on challenge maps a lot, like Skyblock and more recently Sea Block, which starts you off in an endless ocean with just a single dirt block, not even grass, dirt, and a single tree. And due to the power of not mod, data packs, I I used Phoenix SC's give the one that gives you a random item for no reason, and I made a platform out of those blocks, and I got some villager spawn eggs, and I decided that instead of having the villagers running all over my platform on the sea, I would go underwater down to the bed, and I would make a large glass encasement for them. And well, the two that I put down because I saved some beds from the data pack, they started breeding, and a cat appeared on my platform above the water, and I was like, oh, it's all coming together. And then an iron golem spawned down there as well. It's like, thank goodness it spawned down in the ocean and not up on my platform because that would have been terrible. I really don't want the iron golem walking up all over the place because there is literally no barriers. It could just walk straight off the edge, and what am I saying? It's one of the most um ambitious projects that I've undertaken in my Minecraft history. And well, one of my friends, the one that I was talking about that does the pixel art, he has a copy of the world files because I wanted him to see what I was doing because I'm not a builder by any means. He is. So I decided to give it to him and let him see what happens. And well, if anything happens to my files, he can always send them back to me because I've spent a lot of time doing this and I really don't want to lose it. I'm not going to lose it. So that's going to be the end of this. I realize I talked for way too long. But like I said, I've been wanting to do something like this for quite a while, and the topics have kind of stacked up over the years. I'm probably gonna do another one of these sooner or later. So, thank you all for listening. If you have in fact listened to this far, I realize that the the length would probably put some people off. But hey, you could probably put it on and listen to it in the background. I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, thank you all for listening, and sayonara.